The weather was still fair for September. I decided to go out in the yard to do my needlework. No one could deny me this pleasure, for my husband was away on business. This time I wore a bonnet. Otherwise the housekeeper would scold me, as if I were a thoughtless child. "The sun will cook your brain and addle your pretty little mind, Mrs. Finch." Right. I don't think a bonnet will help you any, madam. I sat and did my needlework, but kept stabbing my fingers. I kept thinking about what Robert and Alexander had been arguing about. Sense and reason versus aesthetics and feelings. Apparently the two brothers seemed to believe the concepts were in total opposition to each other. It was 1817, but many people still acted like we lived in the 18th century. The last century profoundly left its mark on men the age of my husband and Robert's brothers. However, there were also men of the same age who were rebels, like my sister Hope's actor sweetheart Francois, and the numerous romantic artists and poets. No doubt Robert was trying to emulate such men, though he was still just a boy. As if summoned by my private musings, Robert came rolling down the hill. Think of the boy and he appears. What kind of fairy meddling was this? "Hello there, Serenity," he excitedly called, breezing his way over to my gate. "Greetings, Mr. Veery," I said just to rile him so, grinning wickedly to myself. "It's Mr. Veery you want, huh? Well, let me go fetch him for you." He made a few mocking steps back. "You'll be in for a scolding. I ought to warn you. He'd tell you that a nice girl like you shouldn't allow boys to visit your house. He'll make you feel about 10 years old. Is that what you want, to become a child again? It's easily done." "Robert, my housekeeper does her job well enough, thank you." Anything for you, Serenity." He gives me a wink without missing a beat. I hadn't expected that. Not that I knew much of boys or men. I had an arranged marriage. I didn't get the thrilling romance that some of my girlhood friends were experiencing now or would soon experience in the near future. I was already where I'd be for the rest of my life. Or was I? I looked up at Robert from where I was sitting in the grass. He returned my gaze and easily offered a smile. Why was he still here? It couldn't be what it appeared, that he was actually interested in my company. Accidentally, the needle stabbed my finger again, jarring me from my thoughts. He flinched as if he had been hit, as if he could feel my pain. "Battle scars," he mused, looking at all the pinpricks my poor hands bore from enduring hours of needlework. I never had the nimble, dexterous hands that were optimal for it. I had clumsy hands with round fingers that always got themselves poked. "Yes, I suppose so," I said, trying to hide my smile and failing to. "What are you working on?" Mr. Finch would never ask me that. Why, I couldn't believe that any man would be interested in needlework. Yet Robert asks. "You would be bored if I told you." I'm still avoiding his eyes, keeping up the pretense of continuing with the needlework. "Assume nothing, Serenity. Please, I'd like to know the story of this piece." "I'm trying to make a present for my sister in France." "You have a sister in France?" "Yes, she's older than me. She ran off with a French actor 4 years ago. She tells me that they're happy, but they are so much poorer than I am. I think I might envy her, as senseless as that is." "Why is it senseless? Shouldn't everyone want to be happy?" "Yes, of course, but their union, it wasn't proper. They got married, but it had been against my parents' wishes." "Ah, I see. Are they happy together?" "Yes, they are, from what I gather." "Then that's all that should matter in the end." "You really truly believe that?" I looked up into his eyes, then, abandoning the pretense of working, I don't think it was fooling him besides. "Yes, I do, and I think you might too. You said you envy your sister because she followed her heart instead of the demands of your family's wallet. To be sure, I'm not criticizing you, Serenity. You chose the smarter, simpler life. Most men and women would choose the same as you if they are logical creatures. But consider this. Now you see how happy your sister is with her actor, and you wonder why you can't have that too." His words nearly dazzled me. This was too dangerous. I couldn't look at him. I couldn't pretend to go back to my needlework either. With my heart pounding so hard, I feared he could hear it. How could he have known my own thoughts and dreams? "Do you dance, Serenity?" His sudden question snapped me out of my own head. He looked eagerly to me. How had his mind reading and my dreaming become dancing? "No, I wish I could." Parties weren't important for Mr. Finch, so they weren't deemed important for me either. I never had learned to dance. It was decided for me that I wouldn't need to know how. You can. I can show you how. Take my hand. He offered his gloved hand to me. Now I had a choice. I could learn to dance or stay where I was, miserably. I set aside the needlework and took his hand.